Yep, as anticipated and highly anticipated, the more space-sensible model came to life, and it's here for me to try it out. Hi guys, Matthew here and welcome back again to my channel. Soon after Fractal released their successor to the Meshify series, that being the Meshify 2, I have covered that as it happened, feel free to check it out later on. Today I will be doing the same, but with its more compact brother, the Meshify 2 Compact. So let's have a look-see, but before that let me show you how it was building in it with this quick time-lapse. So, as you just saw, there's enough room to get around, nicely laid out main compartment and well thought out cable pass-throughs and routing canals, with a lot of pre-installed velcro ties and tie-down points, very similar to the Meshify 2. Although the Meshify 2 Compact is actually the successor to the Meshify C, thus having a natural inclination for it to be compared with it, going back and forward in terms of what was improved, despite of that, the best way to describe it is that this is a regular Meshify 2 but shrunken down. This time I got the dark tempered glass model, but there will be few other models with different panel and color combinations. Again, the side panels come off in a simple manner, you just need to pull the tab on the top back side of the chassis and lean the panel out, and that's pretty much it. In terms of the novelties compared to the Meshify C, there's been a lot of subtle but functional changes. On the top we have the front I/O, which consists out of two USB 3.0 and one USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C port, input-output audio jacks, power on reset switch, and the whole connection panel is attached to the chassis, so the hinged removable steel mesh front panel and its removable dust filter can be operated without interfering with I/Os. The same goes for the top panel with the integrated steel mesh, it's very easy to remove panel and dust filter. In terms of the dimensions, it's around 10mm longer and 20mm higher, but interestingly enough, despite being the same width, it lost on the CPU cooler height support, and together with that the cable routing space is 7mm shallower in the widest part, but that didn't cause any problems in terms of extensive amount of cables or being able to close the right side panel. As for its bigger ongoing brother compared to it, it's around 120mm shorter and 20mm narrower, while the height is the same. Because of this, with the Meshify 2 Compact there is no option for vertical GPU installation or going for that skyscraper-like stacking storage layout, which is completely understandable as there is just no room for it, but this makes your choice a bit easier, as if you don't plan to have more than 2 or 3 drives, you can go for this model without any guilt. Despite of that, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's still easy to build in it, although yes, you do have less space for hardware handling during the assembly process. Although I use my RX 5600 XT model in my temperature testing, just for a reference, as you can see here, now I've put this really long triple fan Sapphire's RX 6800 XT Nitro Plus model, fits in no problem, as do GPUs up to 360mm in length without anything installed on the front. And yes, I will be doing a review of it, be sure to subscribe for that one. My plan is to also try it in relation to sim racing and this monster of a Samsung's G9 240Hz gaming display, so stick around, plenty of cool content coming around the corner. For radiator and fan setup, as you can see here, it can take up to 360mm rads on the front, with it being 145mm wide at max for optimal clearance. And here you will get two pre-installed 140mm Dynamics X2 fans, and up to 240mm rads on the top, with motherboard surrounding components being 40mm tall at max. While on the back you can put 120mm fans, where you'll see one Dynamics X2 fan already pre-installed, and on the bottom, in the power supply compartment, there's another spot for an 120mm intake fan. Here you can again see that we have an option to pull the plastic panels off in case you want to reconfigure the space needed for a thicker front setup, for which you'll have an option to slide or completely remove the dedicated 3.5-inch drive cage. Speaking of that, you can put another two 3.5-inch drives on the top fan position if you get a multi-bracket, while you can also have a total of 4 positions for the 2.5-inch drives, one's on the back with these 2 brackets and 2 on the power supply shroud with the purchase of additional brackets. Unfortunately, they ditched the plastic cover for the power supply shroud on the back, so you will not be able to cover the access cables. Okay, enough about that, let's check out the noise and the temperatures. I'll put up results with different fan configurations. You'll see everything in that regard in the right top corner, while at the end there will be a noise test based on those same fan configurations. So having that in mind, feel free to use that data to decide whether this is something that could work for you. So, as you've just heard, the passive noise insulation of the chassis is quite good, while the stock fans do not get that loud to begin with, even with the fan's top curve. Just like with the normal sized Meshify 2, there's an ample amount of non-restricted air intake and outtake points, so the temperatures of the components are reasonably handled, nothing that seems like it's getting out of control. On the contrary. Feel free to hop over to my Meshify 2 review for a back-to-back comparison, the hardware used here is the same. That's it for this time from me, thank you once again for watching. If you find this helpful, please take a second to toss me a thumbs up because that really helps a lot. And if you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe, and if you already are, be sure to press that notification bell down below so you don't miss out on a new video. And until then, catch you later guys.